Okay, imagine this. You want to do one thing that means a lot for you. Maybe it's in a form of a goal. You want to achieve something. You want to go and move into this city and anything. Anything that can be violated by fear. And if you feel some kind of fear from doing something you haven't done yet, so there's like a really big space of uncertainty and you're not sure how this thing will play out, you might feel that you're afraid of failing, and sometimes the fear will win. That's just life, and that's us human beings. However, what if this fear of failing isn't what you're really scared of? Therefore, the fear of failing isn't really the cause why did you give up or why you're thinking about giving up. What if this fear of failure is still not uncovered completely? And what if the true fear is just you being afraid of being fully seen? And because if you're seen fully as you, as your authentic self, there's nowhere to hide. It's just you, naked. It can feel like that. You have no more the option of hiding behind any system, behind perfection, behind your degree, or behind your work. Once you really want to do this brave step of doing something you love, or just asking someone out, and you're battling with fear, maybe it's not a fear of failure, but maybe it's just the fear that they will see you try and you will be seen at your most vulnerable state. And at that moment, you can't no more play small as if you would do in job. You're here as your truest authentic self. There is nothing more truthful than this. And so you have to own your power. And sometimes owning and facing our true power as our true selves is one of the scariest things that we can do in life. But it's one of the most important and most valuable, worthy things in life to do. And in this video, we will expose what is really behind the fear of failure. And by the end, there is a chance that you'll find out that the thing that you've been avoiding might be actually your freedom. Hi, my name is Edith, and I help high achieving young professionals who have outgrown the life they were told to want, to find their true selves, to trust themselves again, and to fall in love with the life that's aligned with them and that's been waiting for them all along. And to do so without completely burning down the current one. And look, I get it. You followed the path you were supposed to follow. You done everything right. You got the job, got the title, pretty solid salary. All is good. All is good and successful on the paper. But inside, you feel like a ghost to yourself. In your job or school or business, you keep pushing, hustling, improving. But underneath that all, there might be this question of, okay, but what if I go all in who I'm really, like truly myself? What if that is not enough? All the stuff that I'm doing now is working out. It's playing out pretty successfully. Why should I make a change even though I feel miserable? And so, like this, you sell to yourself this idea of playing it half in. And you're playing it safe. But this safety, my friend, is just an illusion. And it's slowly killing your authenticity, your truest expression, and finally your peace. And personally, I used to be really scared of failure, of me failing. I was scared of not being good enough. I was scared of making the wrong choice when I was making any decision. And then it's funny enough, this showed me dance. When I started dancing, you have to go all in. So when you have this cipher, it's like a circle of people, and you have to go into the circle and you have to start dancing. You, in this moment, there is no such a thing as failure, but the only thing there is that you are seen by more than 20 people. Sometimes it's even 50 people, and you have to show the people who you really are. And in that circle, I've realized that something like dance, it's never really about failing. You cannot really fail in dancing, even though there are some battles and you might lose to someone else. But dancers don't really see it as a failure, they just see it as a lesson. And so, okay, but why was I still scared? Well, because in that battle, I would be seen as my most authentic and truest self. I would have to let loose all my choreographies that I've learned. I have no one else around me to decide for me which move should I go next with, or what type of melody do I want to dance on. No, this is all on me. And I have to then own my own power. I have to own my own decisions. I cannot blame anyone, even not the DJ that's playing the music. It is a sound as any other, and I have to show up as my truest self. And I'm not failing. There is not the fear of failure, there is still fear. And so, what type of fear this could be? It's a type of fear that you are trying, you are being very, very vulnerable at this point, and others are seeing you live. And oh, baby, is that a fear bigger than a fear of failure? Because imagine, let's put up a very silly example. You would be, what could you do? And also imagine that it's something you really care about. It really means a lot to you. You would be building a house of cards. Imagine that you're building it, that you're creating it alone at home with your dog. What if in this situation you will be in the middle of the beautiful house of cards and now it all falls down? Imagine it. As I said, a silly example, but bear with me here. And now it would fall down. You might get a little, upset or something. Now let's imagine that you're building this house of cards in front of like 20 people. And now again, imagine that you would be in the middle of the house and now it would fall down. What happened is exactly the same thing. And your state is completely different. Because at home, the same thing happened as in front of 20 people. And so, what is the only thing that was different and made you such a shift in your mental and nervous state? It's those other eyes. You're basically being seen. And this is something that really, when I realized that all the time I wasn't really scared of failure. The only thing that is left for us are the people around you, are those eyes that are watching you, and some of them, be aware, are praying that you really fail. But remember that failing is only once you give up. Those little failures, my friend, these are lessons, and they are making you more valuable. So don't ever confuse them with failure. The only failure you will ever experience is the one that you decide to do, and is to give up. And also, it might be eyes of a loved one that's scared for you because they don't see your vision and they don't see what you see. It's completely normal that your mom will be more afraid of you going into a different city and starting a little different life, because you feel that it would make you more happy, because it's more aligned with your true self. She is just in a position of a very loving mother that wants safety for you. And so what I've came to realize is that we aren't afraid of failure. We're just afraid that in the whole span of our tryings, we are seen by everyone. Also, that's also somewhat an illusion, because everyone is too obsessed with themselves and with their problems. So we aren't really seen. But in our head, it screams with such a big red exclamation marks that, oh my God, we are in a danger, because we are exposed. Our true self is exposed. We have no more the option to hide behind any degree, behind, in the case of dance, it's in those steps. We're hiding literally behind those steps our true self, because it's something technical. And now, in this position, we can ask ourselves, but what if this version of me, when I show everyone that this is my true version, what if it's not successful? What if it's not that successful as the version I'm playing right now? But we should probably define what success means. Because here's the truth. The people who feel the most unfulfilled aren't really the ones who failed. They are the ones who've lived fairly good and solid life, but they have never tried anything as their truest self. That's why this success feels so empty to them, because it's not actually theirs. It's not them who is succeeding. It's the mask, it's the role they have created for others, for the system, for your religion, for anything. Anything that's bigger in your mind than you, and you feel like it's an authority that has to be followed. That's the mask you're creating it for. And that's the mask that's doing all the work. And so you're pretty much in the back seat. And you're not really experiencing. You're just following the script. But let me tell you something. Once you start to showing up, not for love, but from your love, not for approval, but from your own approval to yourself. Once you start showing up, being deeply aligned with who you are, the whole world around you changes. And I'm not exaggerating here. Your energy completely returns, because once you are in your authenticity, there is a rush of energy that you haven't expected, but it is there because this is your energy of expansion, not of belittling yourself, of hyper analyzing everyone, of trying to fit in always. No, you just are. There is this beautiful metaphor that I've heard, and it's the fact that the fire doesn't ask for permission to burn. The fire just freaking burns. The storm doesn't ask for permission. The rain doesn't ask to fall down. It just starts raining. Be like nature. This is the power. This is the energy that you will get, because it will come from your truest, your most powerful source. And like that, you stop performing and you start creating. And most importantly, you finally feel alive again. But what's going really on here? So many people are living with this silent equation that might not have even realized they are living by that. This equation is very logical, because from our perspective, we need to be loved. The most important need a person has is love. That's why all these songs and all this art and all this movie is about love because it's just so profound and so important to people. I'm saying it because lots of people live in a way that if I fail, I'm likely to lose the love I need in my life from my loved ones, from anyone that loves me. If I fail, I will lose love. This is the equation that so many people live by. So with that, they show up only with those parts of the person that seem to work, that are safe, that are polished. A love that needs to be earned is not true love. It is not the definition of love. So just you can erase it now completely. And success that requires self-abandonment, the abandonment of your true core, of your true self, it's not a real success, isn't it? To me, it feels like loss. And the purpose of this video is that if you really want to improve in life and if you want to make your life more authentic and peaceful, you have to address the real cause. Otherwise, it won't work. If you write a letter and you send it, by the way, a very much beautiful old way of sending letters, but you send it on a wrong address, how could you blame the post office of not delivering it to your loved one when it was you who wrote the wrong address? And so this is the same thing with addressing the correct fear, the real fear that is the cause of the situation that you're finding yourself in. Here's what will happen after you will address it. You will stop chasing external validation. You will stop people pleasing. You will stop overthinking. And you will reconnect with your real power. From this powerful place, you will make decisions so much faster. And you will be the only person that you will need to go for any advice. Of course, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be going for advices when it comes to experts, when it comes to some mentors, when it comes to reading books. Be curious. Always be curious and learn something new every day. But make sure that you're learning it from the right resources and you attract people that fully resonate with you. You will attract as authentic people as you are. That's why maybe now you aren't really in a company of truest, authentic people because you yourself are struggling to do that. So how could you expect someone else to join and be very comfortable in your presence when you yourself haven't done the work yet? But you can always do it, and you can start today. And you finally won't need to explain yourself. Because explanation, when you have the need of explaining yourself about everything, this situation, this feeling comes from not trusting that your life is really worthy, that your life is good enough, that you are living on your own terms. Because the need of self-explanation is actually the need to explain it to yourself. And so once you come back to your authentic self, you will no longer feel the need, and you will see it, you will feel it once you really are there. And you'll finally start to build this life that resonates with you, that is aligned with your authenticity, and that just feels legendary. And so, how to face it? How to face this fear? You have to go forward to that fear. And you can come up with any ways how to face this fear. Usually, it is literally the thing that you're afraid of. If I'm afraid of spiders, I might just place a spider on my hand and see that it's not harmful. I might pass out a little bit, but the spider will be here, I will be here, and the life will go on. This is the same with being seen as the fear of rejection. That's why rejection challenge exists. Make yourself a promise today that up to these 3 days, you will do something that will require you being seen as your truest self. And I don't want to give you any advices on how this should look like in your world, because everyone is different and we are all meeting each other in a very different situation. But I'm gonna give you my own examples so that you might get any inspiration. So if I would be on a meeting and there would be one thing that I didn't really get well, or I didn't really understand what the person said, but no one else seemed to be confused, but I am. So I'm going to raise the hand and I'm going to kindly ask. And let me tell you, no question is wrong. So if they are the person that is receiving the question, if they are going to act egoistically, or that, how could you not know this? Just say to yourself, okay, they're jerks, whatever, and move on. They will forget about it because they are certainly thinking mainly about themselves, and the other people, they weren't probably even listening. So why should you care actually? If you want to start the business, start the business. And I'm naturally talking from my own experience because I'm now here making videos on YouTube. It was some kind of decision that I had to make, and I made it from my most authentic version of myself, because I see the purpose in these videos, and I see that there might be better change and better information about authenticity and what authenticity really is. But it wasn't comfortable, but it was what I needed to do. Your authentic self will say to yourself what you need to do. It's called intuition. You have to listen to it. And you can feel the fear, but act fearlessly. So the exercise that you will take away today is that after watching this video, you will write down one thing that you will do in these following 3 days consequently. And you will make sure that in any situation, you will do this one thing that will make you more confident, that will make you face the fear of being seen. So this is everything I have for you today. I hope that you have an amazing day, that you take all the courage into your next 3 days, because you will need it, but you will then remember them. And I hope that this video gave you some kind of value, and I hope to see you soon. Stay awesome. Bye.